Hi guys, this is another episode from apex.world. Today I have a guest, Przemysław Kantyka from Poland. And why did I invite you today? Because I saw you posted something on Twitter that you have integrated SVN into the Apex application builder. Is this right, or did I dream that?
Yeah, this is right. So in database consulting, we created a tool to extend application builder for SVN connectivity. Our goal was to add functionality to application builder directly. So Apex developer will be able to commit or revert page or check out entire application directly from Apex Builder. And the purpose of this tool is to make life for every developer who would like to versionize code in SVN repository.
Okay, let's start from the beginning. I mean, I think I'm still the only developer who's not using any software systems. But now they finally forced me to. We switched to GitHub at our customer, and now, well, I got a period of transition. I'm the only one who is still allowed to develop in a database. Sorry, Martin, you have to live with that. But well, finally they will catch me, and I have to do this also. And so, and I hear all the time and all the conference, and yeah, this is missing in Apex, right? And I said, well, I've never used it in 15 years ever, so I'm not a fan of the concept. I mean, I know that people want to do that, and it's professional, and I don't want to start another nerd communication on Twitter. And said, how can you do that? Well, I did this for 15 years perfectly, and never. It's fine. I save code, period. And when I have to change something, I change it. I know we are not many developers, but it's working fine. So I think it's a little over organized, but I get it if companies need to be secure, that you can roll back and all this stuff. And I mean, I'm sure the development team is also working with such a tool professionally. I know that they do. So therefore, I invited you today that you can show us what you have, because I saw a video, I guess, of your tool, and I was pretty impressed. So I understood it right away, and looks promising. So first of all, so where are you? Where you come from? What are you doing? Why are you doing this?
Yeah, so basically I'm from database consulting company. We are based in Poland, and right now we have 10 years on the market, let's say. We started as a company which was a training company about Oracle in-house created workshops.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, this is how we started. At some point, we became Oracle Proof Education Center in Poland, and our activity includes, and right now I would say it's even main point, is Apex development and managed services for our clients around Europe. And basically the tool for SVN connectivity from Apex Builder is a result of, let's say, gap we discovered, because basically when we work on some products for our clients, and we use single development instance, Apex instance, we had some problems with that approach, basically because of the fact that Apex requires export of entire application in consistent state. We had to introduce something like periods during development, freeze periods, when we do not implement changes to our application, due to the fact that at some point consistent state of application need to be exported and created and later installed on QA or production environment. And of course, we thought also about.
So you're saying this freeze period. You're saying freeze period for you is okay. So now system is running. Don't change anything. Let's export this thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then we take this production, and then we can go on in the meantime.
Yeah, basically yes, but of course the also issue with freeze period is the fact that all developers need to finish their current work on development instance, and basically each of them has different tasks. So moment when tasks are finished is different for each of them. So basically, there are some moments in our work cycle that some of developers cannot work on development instance because others are still finishing their work. We recognize it as some issue, and we thought about there must be better way of cooperation between developers to make process smoother, easier, and basically at some point we also started to versionize our code. And to be honest, you are not the only person, in my opinion, who not versionize code of Apex at all. Basically, this is how
because it's so easy. It's so easy to change. You find something, oh, there's an issue, fix. Exactly. Change request, you do it, fix. You never go back, right? I mean, and you can go back. You can, when you mess something up, you say, oh, export what I had an hour ago. So give me the page from an hour ago. So therefore, I feel pretty safe if I mess something up. And I have every now and then, so that I have database backups anyway. So we have daily backups from the application. So I'm feeling amazingly safe. So during the development, I can export back to 10 hours or something. Actually, maybe not. Never tried it. But you develop something and say, oh, shoot, this worked 10 minutes ago. What's wrong, right? And you can't find it and say, okay, let's export it back 15 minutes ago. Oh, and you are back. And this is all implemented into Apex itself. And so, and whenever you messed up and you can implement, or you can import the application from the day before with a different application ID, then you can say, okay, this is what I had yesterday. This is what I had today. So therefore, maybe that's the reason I never really had the need for something like that. But
yeah, of course. Basically, usage of some SVN or any other versioning tools requires additional effort at some point, especially when there is no integration in Apex itself, directly available to developers. So basically, it adds some effort, so it's not easy to do it at the end.
Thank you for telling me that.
That's the
because
reason.
right now we are. So if I have a change request, right? So I can say, oh yeah, I can fix this in an hour.
Yeah. So
easy.
What's the point to add additional 10 minutes?
So now here comes the story. Now I have to check out something from GitHub and make a branch. This alone takes half an hour with these tools we have and Citrix environment and blah, blah, blah. It's not that easy, right? It takes me half an hour and then I'm exhausted. I have to take a break. So half an hour just to create my branch, right? And then I have to import, change the code there, and then I have to save it back and upload it and commit it, and then some other guy has to, I don't know, accept it and put it into a trunk or something, and then the whole thing goes to test eventually, and then there's a bug, and no, we want something else, so the whole thing starts again and back and forth, and then a lot of Excel sheets, and you have to write down where is the path from SVN or GitHub, and what do you install script, blah, blah, blah. The whole thing takes me a day.
Yeah, this is possible at the end.
Right? So this is why I find this whole thing unattractive. I'm so fast with Apex, and 90% of the time I'm just doing admin work. That's a little frustrating. But well, at this said, it helps a lot if you can speed up the process, right?
Yeah, exactly. And this is why we came with our tool, because we also recognize it, a way how you need to do versioning of the code. It's not easy. It's really hard. It's pain. Basically, at some point, you would land with setting some repository locally or maybe remotely, but basically you would work probably with some SVN commands with command line, which is basically not something you would like to do if you use to Apex development at the end. So yeah, code versioning is not easy. It requires additional effort, and I would say that for small or really small, like 1 people or 2 people groups of developers, it's maybe even not necessary at all, because as you said, if you perform some changes and you recognize, okay, something is wrong, you can easily go back to backup of your application performed, I don't know, 1 hour before or just before changing request was started. But basically in situation when there are 4 or 5 developers that are working on the same instance, and this is a way how Apex was designed, there are some problems with this approach, because imagine situation that you performed some changes.
I've never done a project with more than 3 people. Never ever.
Yeah, I believe.
And the third guy was basically responsible for the back end.
Yeah, this is also additional point, but because if you have very good distinction about what each person does, you can easily recognize what your changes in the system. But basically, the SVN or any other versioning tool allows you to undo only changes that were performed by you in the system. So basically, what you can do, you can go to the page you change and revert that single page to previous version without affecting any other developer's work currently in the instance, even your work at the end, because if you perform changes in multiple pages and you recognize only one change in one page as something problematic, something is not working on this page, you can just revert this one single page to previous version, and you can track history of your changes using SVN log in the SVN repository. So basically, you can revert changes to the point that you know was working properly without affecting any other pages in Apex application. So basically, at the end, this scenario, when you need to revert some changes, save your time. So basically,
yeah, that's true.
That situation saves your.
This is why I'm listening, because I have to do it. The company loves them, the versioning tools, so you have to do that. So then help me to save as much time as possible.
Yeah, exactly. So, but basically, of course, if you have to do it, I mean, SVN commit and SVN revert from command line, it doesn't, it's not easy, and it's completely ruin your way how you work with Apex. Yeah. So
it's ruined my day.
Exactly.
If I have to do something like that, I hate command line. I mean, come on, really? I'm working with a Mac, and what is a command line? It's ridiculous. We started 30 years ago with command line. Right now we have nice user interfaces. I know Chris is a fan of command line. Daniel is a fan of command line. Yes, it's easy on the command line. Ooh, look at this. Go away with this.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Give me a nice interface.
Yeah, then
we're talking.
That's why we added some integration in our tool to SVN directly. Basically, it's not only integration with SVN, it's also a tool that simplifies work a little bit more, because, for example, if you would like to commit some changes in SVN repository from Apex application, it's usually not just commit of the one file. You need to think about as in SVN way how code is managed. For example, if you would like to commit one page only in SVN directly, you would have to perform multiple commands. Check if the file is already existing in repository. If file is not existing, add this file, and if this file is in subdirectory at the end, you would have to add directory to versioning, at the beginning. So multiple commands would be applied to perform just simple thing like committing page to repository. And the way how we thought it should work, you just want only to commit page. Yeah? So entire work that is around and is required at some point should be built into the integration tool. Because it's repeatable task, and there is nothing worse for developers like performing repeatable tasks. Yeah.
Thank you.
So our tool is for simplifying a way how you work with SVN repository. But basically, this is how we started. And to be honest, for me, as a main architect of this solution, at the beginning, it was pure technical work. Yeah, we tried to find a way how to make it easier for developers, but basically a lot of technical challenges were behind that, because of course we had to think about how to connect from machine where Apex is installed to SVN, how to create from single export application file, which is at the end product of Apex when you export application, how to manage this code, how to create set of files at the end in a repository. So a lot of technical stuff was in background, let's say. But at some point we realized also that basically this is not only technical tool, because at the moment when we realize that you are no longer bound to the single Apex instance, it makes development of Apex applications completely different. Right now, you are working probably in a single Apex instance when you're
talking instance, because Apex instance is, you have many workspaces, right? We're talking about this Apex instance.
Yes.
Not okay.
But there is single environment when everybody needs to log in to develop. For example, you have some application.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to make sure that we're talking about the name Apex instance, which is one internal workspace and have different workspaces for different groups and developers, right?
To be honest, I mean more about single point when you have to log in. So you can say that your workspace when development application is installed is the single point of development. At the end, if you would work with a couple of...
Okay, because this is what I felt, right? That you naming instance more like the workspace I'm logging in, where I have my applications.
Better name, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay, then I'm on the same page.
But basically, you need to log into the central repository, to central place. Yeah, so it will be development workspace at the end. So as you said, you have Citrix, you have different way of how to connect to this environment. Basically, if you break something there, you need to revert entire repository, entire application to the previous state. So at some point, it is not a way how development looks like in these times, because currently in other technologies, what you can do, you can run virtual machines on your local machine. You can create Docker instances of development environments. You can experiment with this local environments, and when you are convenient that changes you perform, you just send them to to SVN repository or GitHub repository or Git repository. Yeah? So at the end, the way how we work in Apex without tool like our tool is a little bit, let's say, old style, because what we have central point of development, and we need to cooperate with other people, even if it's small group of people that are working on the same application. We need to go to this application. Imagine that you are in a train, you have weak connectivity to internet, you are not able to work in a convenient way with the central repository. When you have our tool or some other way, easy way, but I don't believe there is other easy way, to be honest. But if you have our tool in place, you can run your local machine, virtual machine, or Docker image to create local environment and local Apex instance. The only thing you need to have is SVN connectivity to check out application at some point. But later you can work locally, completely isolated from other developers. And at the end, when you are convenient that your changes are good, you can commit these changes to central repository. And this is also really important thing from release cycle management. You can commit only changes that are finished. So basically, if you are in the middle of some changes, you just don't commit them to the central repository. When you have central development environment, like development workspace, you are at some point, you are always at some point of that you are in the middle of some change. And basically, this is why we need some freeze time in development environment to avoid situation that unfinished.
Okay, you lost me. Przemek, you lost me. So, okay. Go back to the train scenario, right?
Okay.
So we have this one, the workspace where let's say we have a production environment. This is it. We have just a production environment,
Okay.
one workspace. We have one application in this one workspace on production.
True.
So now you say, well, I have 3 developers, and so we can work all together online in production, which we did actually and worked fine. But the better way would be you make a copy. The 3 developers working from different places, and they making copies from this one application to their local machine.
For example, yes.
Right? And they get it from the central SVN repository.
That's correct.
So now these 3 people have at one time all the versions are the same. And now they start to develop different stuff.
Yes.
And then they commit it back to the central repository, and the production is still untouched. And the other one is doing it, and the third one is doing it. And all the changes are landing in the central repository at the end.
Yes.
Right? And at one point, you say, okay, fine, everything is fine, and we upgrade the production then. Is this the way?
Yes, of course, in, let's say, proper way of code release cycle management, you would also have some QA environment in the middle.
Yeah. I just want to make it simple for the architecture thinking, right? Just to say, okay, this is the approach. Copy that, make the changes locally, commit it back to the central repository. Production is still untouched, and if we all agree, works fine. We push it. We just make an update.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the change at the end. So basically, your place when you have, let's say, correct version or final version of application, right now it is your workspace with development environment. So basically, if you are in the middle of some changes, it's already there. And basically, what our tools allows to do is when SVN repository is the place when you keep correct version of application that will be released to QA and production at the end. So basically, because you isolate development environment from place where you keep finalized version from developer point of view, of course, finalized version of application, it brings you a lot of new possibilities. For example, you can begin some code changes at some point, and you can continue them even if application deployment on production will happen somewhere in the middle. Because in your local environment, you can do whatever you want, but you will commit only changes that you would like to be released to QA and production at some point. So basically, isolation of development environment from environment which you treat as central point of code, of finished code, means that you can, for example, experiment with application. Let's try to do it. Let's see what changes bring us in the future. And if you are not convenient with that change, you just revert your local environment to the previous state taken from repository, of course, or part of this application, like for example, some pages. And you can start from the beginning, let's say, but your work with development environment does not affect other developers that are working in the system, and does not bring any risk that some changes in the middle of implementation are released to production. For us, that was really important because from one perspective, we wanted to avoid freeze time on development environment. Our tool, where you treat SVN repository as a central place, there is no freeze time. People can work in their local environment, perform some changes, and if we at some point need to release production version of application, we just grab current state of SVN repository. Of course, in reality, it's not so easy because still some developers could commit some changes that are not finalized at the end. But basically, this is our aim. So we wanted to separate development environment from central code repository. And this is a way how currently development looks like. So basically, in other technologies like Java code development or any other, you don't have a single point of development. You can set up local machines in a minute. There are a lot of techniques to do that. Docker, for example. You can easily start up your local development, do whatever you want in this environment because you are not blocked by other developers. You are not waiting for their changes to be finished. You can experiment. You can perform some code redesigning or refactoring of code without risk that you break this central point of code repository. Because if you are not convenient what you did, you just don't commit it to SVN. So basically our tool, and this is, to be honest, really fun for me, because from technical tool, we recognize this tool also like a tool for code management, that changing your way of thinking about Apex development. And for me, this is really fun because at the beginning, I treated this tool more like technical solution. But basically, the way how it's changed your approach to development, I think it's really important to notice that. This is something new also from this point of view, because it makes you more space for development. It's not only about reducing these freeze times or reducing a risk to release unfinished change, but basically it also changes your approach to development.
Okay, now we are curious, and now we want to see something.
Yeah, basically, of course, it's possible to see.
So you can share the screen, right? You have to share the screen.
Yeah, of course, I can share my screen. Basically, the best way to see right now what tool can do is to go to our page, and you will find a movie there. So this is our page. On YouTube also you will find this movie. So maybe I will start this movie, and I think this is the most interesting thing. Can you see it's in a full screen?
Yeah.
So basically, maybe I will put some comment behind. So basically, our tool is built like extension for Apex application builder. So basically, what you will see in multiple places in application builder, at the end you will find SVN menu, and this SVN menu in different places will have different commands. For example, if we are in application context, we have possibility to commit application, fetch page from repository, or fetch entire application from repository, or change SVN settings. And in this place, you will be able to set up your repository for this single application. And this is what first part of page. Maybe I will mute it to not interrupt our speech. Yeah. Okay. So basically, you will configure your repository here in this place, and each application can have different repository at the end. And after you set the repository in the system, you can go, for example, to page edition mode, Oh, this is initial application commit. So we enter in the page builder and we choose commit application.
Hold on. You lost me. So, okay, you went to a page. So I understand it's context sensitive. It's a browser extension, so-called browser extension into the application builder, and it depends if you are on the application level. It shows you different menus, like you are on page level, and now we are on page level.
Yeah, now we are on page level, and the menu is a little bit longer because what you can do from this point is also commit single page or fetch page log from the system, from a repository. So basically, page log from SVN repository will connect to SVN and fetch entire history of this page changes.
Let's go through a workflow. What is the thing you would do as a developer? So, so the first thing is, okay, I get you set up this connection to SVN, and then I'm a developer. And so now, what is the next thing I'm supposed to do?
Yeah, so if you are very first developer of this application, it means that you will create new application, and the SVN will be SVN settings will be provided to new application currently created only in your local environment. So the first thing you will do when you create application and recognize it as okay, this is something I would like to show to the world. So I will commit this current state to the SVN repository. Like initial commit, you would choose commit application from this place or from application context for the menu. So basically,
okay. So I'm creating my application from scratch, like I always do, and say, okay, this is fine, and then I take my whole application and put it into SVN first time.
Exactly.
All right. So, but we always say we need to have a local environment. I don't see that there is necessary to have a local environment, everybody, right? I think this is built in the application builder. So why can I use it on my central development environment?
You still can do it. So basically, you can still have on your single development environment and use
because
it.
If I say, hey guy, you are responsible for the admin and I'm responsible for the first 100 pages, you're responsible for the second 100 pages.
Of course, if it's easier for you, for example, from administration point of view, basically you can use it not only from your local environment, you can use it in another environment of, for example, your current development environment. And with that approach, you would have situation when you in this environment see also other people changes, basically, so you can commit also them.
That makes, but man, I mean, then of course this is what we do. Right? But no, I've never worked with another guy on the same page. This is not happening. So we always say, okay, this is your space, this is my space, or you can use page groups in Apex. This is the area, you're responsible, this is my responsible area. I'm not touching yours, you're not touching mine, period, right? So then I think this approach is working fine with a central development environment too.
Yeah, of course, this is also working. So basically, probably in that situation, you would use commit application only initially.
Okay.
Or later you will choose also this option, but only select this component that you modified in the past to not commit changes of your colleagues. But basically, it's also possible, and it's also working fine when you use this tool also in single development environment. But basically, with this tool and with this approach, you would not recognize export from this environment as your, let's say, finalized version of application. You
lost me.
I'm
gone. Sorry, Przemek, I'm gone. Okay, here we are. I have my initialized app. We make it simple and say, okay, we have two developers. We have created an amazing application, and we say, okay, what are we going to do with it? So put it into SVN. We commit this application for the very first time. It's there, fine. And then we start to make, we pull in new features. You build in your new features, I build in my new features. Meaning, I'm changing now my pages, and at a certain time, I say, I commit my pages, right?
Yes.
So this is the next step. I'm commit my changed pages, and my colleague is doing the same thing and say, well, I'm also, well, I don't care, right? I don't care if I'm finished before him and we don't have any interactions.
Yeah.
From then I can commit my page. I'm finished. So there's a new version, and then there is this SVN process where you merge the changes into the main application or trunk application, so that this changed application, updated application is going to production. Right?
Yeah.
And my colleague is still working. And I don't care. So the main benefit is we don't say to a point X, now we have to export the whole application, put the whole application in production. And so I have to take care that my developers are all on the finished state, right? I don't care. As long if I say I'm finished, then we can decide, okay, let's get this feature out. And my other colleagues are working on it. And I started to work on my next feature. And so this is the basic principle I understood.
This is basic principle. So you can work on new stuff, new request changes, even if deployment process is in progress or will start soon. So basically, because even if you have single development environments, our tool allows to move your final application code from this development environment to central code management repository. This is something that change also, and you described it because you told that you can continue your work on application even if deployment cycle is in progress. And basically, currently you cannot do it because at some point you need to have consistent state of application, right?
So
that we recognize it as a problem from also, let's say, team management point of view, because at some point people just don't work at application because they cannot do it safely from.
Okay, let's go. Let me go through the things I see on the screen on your menu. What I think what you can do with that, and you say yes or no. So get page from the repository means, oops, I messed up. Right. This is the similar functionality like, oh, please export my page from 1 hour ago or 1 day ago. And 1 day is probably not. I don't know. The database memory is mostly set to 8 hours maximum, I guess. So this is the same functionality, but over time. It's like a functionality you said, oh, I saved my page every day, so get an old version from my page. Is this true? Get page from repository?
Get page from repository will get you the last version from repository. So basically,
you have committed the last version. You say this is a version that is working fine for me. I save it, save point, like in PLC. I don't know. And then you say, okay, now I worked the whole day and said, oh shoot, I messed up completely. I gave up and I revert my changes to the committed page. Okay.
Yeah, this is this scenario, but there is also second possibility. If you have your local environment, you will use this get page from the repository also to get page that was committed maybe by somebody else.
If
you are working on different environments with your colleague, your local application is not in a state like committed version in SVN. So basically, get page from repository will allow you to synchronize this single page to the state taken from SVN repository.
Understood. So it's my colleague. So the thing is, oh, I'm in my remote local environment scenario. I slept the whole week, and then I woke up and said, "Well, no, I'm working on my page again." But I remember my colleague has fixed something there. So before I continue working on my page, I better get the latest committed version from the repository to start with the latest version.
Exactly.
Okay, perfect. And the next.
In current version, yeah, one additional thing. In current version, our button for SVN menu will change a color to show you what is your
amazing.
situation in local environment against the situation in repository. So, for example, when we detect that your local copy of page is not up to date, the button will change its color to show you the situation. Basically, you could also see it in status option, because when you click status, you will see dialog with information. What is your local version of application? What is the revision you get from repository? But basically, color is easier, and we all color, so we change behavior.
Okay, the next thing is get page from repository. The next thing, revert page to revision.
Yeah. Revert page to revision is basically a situation when you committed some version of page to the repository, but then you realize I committed something bad. For example, you remove some region on page. Maybe it was even planned. You commit that, and later business came to you. Oh, we changed our mind. We do not want to have this region removed. So revert page to revision allows you to get page not from the last version in repository, but from the previous version.
Okay.
This option will show you dialog with list of versions that were committed with comment for each commit.
Yeah. Okay.
You will be able to revert page to version from the past.
Understood. So you restore your page from a later version.
Yes.
Then lock page, unlock page.
Yeah, this is very similar to lock page, unlock page, which we see here. But basically, it locks page in central repository. If you are working on single development environment with our probably locking page with standard button is enough for you. But if you are working in a environment scenario, you would like to lock page to avoid when somebody else commit some changes in the middle of your work. So basically, lock and unlock page here, and maybe we'll change labels to lock page in SVN or lock globally, something like this.
Okay, let's assume I'm having my not remote environment, my single environment, which I have right now. Does this lock page? It has nothing to do with this Apex lock functionality. So it does not lock my page in the application builder from Apex.
Currently, no, but this is something we are thinking about also.
Yeah, but what it does, it tells the repository, hey guy, this is my page. Nobody can touch it. Meaning, if some other guy is trying to, let's say we are in a distributed environment, and so you working on the application, I'm working on the application, and we have local copies, and I say, okay, I really want to be sure that this page, because this is a common page, everybody can edit it. This is now my thing. Nobody has to touch it. I click lock page, and when you stand up in the morning and you go to the page in your local environment, can you edit, or do you get a notification, or what's happening when you are on your local environment, waking up and want to also edit the same page, which I have locked 5 minutes before?
Yeah, basically what locks page and unlock page does right now is locking file in a SVN repository. So basically it blocks other developers from committing
they blocking from committing.
But
right?
This is a really great idea, and it will be visible also in a status. Go to the status, you will see that that page status in repository is locked with some comment.
But nobody's looking into that. We agree to that. So it's another use case for another color.
I think exactly. This is another feature for another color to just show user some easy way to show them
Yeah.
that the page is locked by somebody else. Basically.
Yeah. Have a nice icon in front of it or something. Okay, great.
I think this
Understood
is a
that.
enhancement, so thank you for that suggestion.
Yeah. So lock unlock page. This is I get that. So it's the locking in that nobody can overwrite the page or commit the page in the repository. So
Exactly.
commit page is clear. Commit page is simply save page into the repository.
Exactly. But
from
this is not so simple, to be honest. So maybe I will elaborate a little bit here.
For me, from a user point, from the user experience side, this is something I understand immediately because commit page is what we do 100 times a day, right? Commit page, save the page into but yeah, this is when you say, okay, I'm done with my development, I'm happy with my page, committed.
Yes,
exactly. This is the new thing. Okay.
Exactly.
And then
this is how it works, but basically, and yeah, from what you described, it's really easy. You just commit page and you forget about it.
Yeah, this was your job to make it easy, right?
Exactly. This is why we created our tool, to make it really easy. But I will tell a couple of things what is done in background when you commit your page.
But not yet. Let's go through the thing that we don't lose it. I don't want to lose the workflow.
Okay.
Right? So so then we almost finished. So we have the same thing on page level. We also have it on complete application level.
Yes.
I can get not only the page from the repository or the app and commit the whole app and not just the page. Then we have the settings, mixing. Okay, that's your about thing. Page lock. Okay, status. We already talked about that you say, oh, in which status is the page? Is it locked, for example, or
do you have local modification performed in comparison to what was fetched?
Yeah. Has my colleague messed up with my page?
Yes, that's also visible because you will see.
You see this in the status.
Revision of this page. Revision is the version number at the end in SVN repository.
Mm-hmm.
So you will see your local revision.
Yeah.
At the moment when you get page from repository, the revision.
Okay.
You fetched, and you will see also revision that is currently in central repository. So you also will see that somebody else committed new version of the page.
Mm-hmm. So, and then we have the page log. It's maybe something like a history, SVN history. What has the history of the page development?
Exactly. All right. The history of page with comments for each comment.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, there is also revert button, so you can easily revert page to.
You did your job well, Przemysław. This is what I can say, because when I understand it, it's done well. This is what I can say. This is why
what we wanted to do, and I hope we achieved that at some level at least. We wanted to make cooperation with central SVN repository as easy as it can be. And basically, what we wanted also to do, we wanted to allow developers not think about repository files and stuff like.
Thank you.
Like management of the files inside repository, but think about your application like you think right now. So there are pages, there is application itself, and you think, okay, I just want to commit page, and whatever it means, let's do it. Yeah. So that was
another question. So now we are completely on Apex level, right? What about the packages which are combined with this application or my changes? The database packages and all the database objects.
Yeah.
So how do I get these guys in the same repository?
Basically, what you can do right now with our tool, if you are using supporting objects in Apex application to manage your code and release new version of packages, for example, basically this is part of application export. So if you commit entire application in repository, your supporting objects will also be there.
Okay.
So
Supporting objects. I agree. Never used it.
That's true. This is quite rare used. So basically, currently we do not manage code on a database level directly.
But how? So how do I mean, I see. So we have this repository, right? Can I go with with any other tool and connect to the same repository and simply add my PL SQL stuff into it?
So here is my question. When you develop your packages for application, do you use SQL Workshop from Apex Builder, or do you go with
SQL Developer?
Exactly. And SQL Developer also has SVN connectivity tools.
Yeah.
So you are able to configure SVN repository also in SQL Developer. And if you perform code changes in SQL Developer, there is, let's say, quite easy way of cooperation with SVN repository directly from SQL Developer. So this is why we focused at first step, at least, on application layer code management, because
the other thing is solved. The other problem is solved anyway on the
other problem is solved. But maybe in future releases we will think also about some kind of integration with SVN regarding to source code of application present on database layer side. Yeah. But this is a future.
All right. So the thing is, now you say, okay, you do your SVN stuff in SQL Developer like you did before, or and you can, probably people have already this repository, and you can simply connect your tool to the same repository from
exactly. For example, in different folders. So basically, you have probably some folder to keep database objects there, like
exactly.
Table,
we have,
and so on. And basically, our tool allows you to just add additional directory to SVN and keep all Apex related stuff there.
Okay, totally get that.
Just you will just provide in SVN settings different directory on SVN repository, and you are ready to do that. Yeah.
Okay, understood that. The other thing, which is still open, we used SVN for quite some time, and now we switched to Git. So company decision. Well, fine.
And why you did that? Do you have a reason to do switch?
I have no idea. It's a huge company. They decided, I don't care. And Pluggy is also a fan of Git, so he forced us to use Git. And I'll be honest, they have a much more nicer web interface. So for me, the handling is, I mean, I'm using mostly the web interface for the Apex stuff. This is what I do right now, right? I'm exporting pages and importing stuff or to the web interface. And yeah. So company decision, Git. Git is the new thing. Okay, I'm fine.
Yeah, that's true. Basically, this is a really usual question at the end. What about Git? So basically, we started with SVN, but connectivity to Git is currently under investigation. Work already started. So basically, I believe in a couple of months we'll also have very similar tool, but for Git connectivity. And this is what we are working currently on. Yeah.
Okay, great. So, and you making a real product out of that?
Yes. So basically what the plan for this tool currently is that in a couple of weeks, I believe, we release it to the public. So you will be able to download this tool and use it locally. And basically, for now, plan is that some version of this tool will be completely free, and only some advanced features will require payment at the end.
Really? Why? I mean, why? I don't see a difference. So I would. I'm a fan of paid products. Why? because I want to make
Support
sure
for
that
them.
I want to exactly. I want to have support. I want to have new versions. Blah blah blah. Right? And because we are spending. Sorry, let me.
No problem. So basically, this is also what we plan to do. But basically, in paid version, we will have support for the tool. So there is something additional. So if you would like to use free version of the tool, you are free to go. Basically, this is, I think, great thing also because entire application Apex, it's more or less free. At the end, there is not something like free lunch in the world, but
thank you.
You already paid for the database, yeah, so that's included. But basically, it would be great to have possibility to work with our tool at some level completely free, and this is our goal right now. But basically, if you would
but
like,
this should be more like it's just my opinion, right? I mean, we're working here in a serious environment. If some guy is using that, they're making projects, $1 million projects.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? And a lot of them. So over time. So we're talking about a lot of costs going into that.
Of course.
This said, saving me a couple of hours, right, is saving me a lot of money. If I have saving my people, my developers time and make it easy to use. So I wouldn't do anything for free in this because this is serious stuff. This is
to
right?
be honest, there are multiple point of views for that approach in our company internally also. But basically, what we want to do, we would like to treat this free version of our tool like advertisement at the end. Yeah? Because if somebody grab it easily and check, oh, this is quite nice, there is something more which I need to pay for, but I have some free tool and I can check if it's useful to me or not.
I don't believe in that.
You don't believe in that?
I don't believe in that approach. Because I get that people say, yeah, we give this away for free and that people get to know us. Well, this is not really happening. So what's happening is, oh, there's something for free. It's not worth anything. This is what Apex has to fight for 20 years now.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
So, and then it says, and then nobody will, they just install the tool, they're using it, and nobody cares about you.
Yeah, that's true. But this is why basically we would like to limit also functionality of this tool if you are using free version, and that will make some difference at the end, I believe. But yeah.
Well, I would rather go a different way, saying, okay, you have a test period, 30 days, or let's say 3 months, right? Use it 3 months for free. Test period. Have fun, right? If you find it useful, then I'm happy to provide you the service from now on. I mean, it's a regular business.
Yeah,
and then people take you serious.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? If you give something away for free, people have this a bunch of nerds, a startup company, they are not serious. Right? They just play around, and you don't know if this still existing in 3 months because they go with something completely different. Just my opinion.
Yeah, thank you for that opinion. It will probably add some gas to our internal discussion. Because to be honest, it's still under heavy discussion.
All right. I mean, this is so I'm not a fan of software versioning, right? But I know I have to do it, and I understand that it's.
I hope with our tool we will like it even.
Yeah, it has to be done. This said, meaning, okay, then if it has to be done, make it as easy as possible for me, right? Like this is the whole approach from Apex. I don't like coding at all. I love applications and solutions. So if there has to be coding be involved, let it be as less as possible. right? This is why I love
agree with that
Apex.
opinion, and this is why we created our tool.
Yeah, the same approach.
As easy as it's possible.
So, and for me, you nailed it. I understand everything. It works fine. This is it, right? Make a product out of it and give me the security that you are serious about it.
Yeah, we are really serious.
And this, you are only serious about it if you want money from me for that.
Yeah, sure.
If not, I don't believe you're serious if somebody gives me something for free.
Yeah,
either he wants something else, which is even worse, right? Like Facebook, Google, and the guys, right?
Exactly. If you are not paid for something, you are the product.
You are the product, exactly, Tim Cook. So, or you're not serious. So these are the two options. So therefore, I would like, if you don't ask for money, if you fine to have a free period, testing period, everything is a regular product thing. But if you don't ask for money after that, I'm not taking you serious. I mean, now I know you in person, right? That's a different thing, but the general customer has the impression, okay, these guys are not serious. These are just a bunch of nerds.
With that, because at the end we are all doing this for work and for money at the end.
Of course.
It needs to be fun, and we try to make this development with SVN connectivity also. Maybe not the funniest thing you do, but still part of the fun with Apex, because it's a really great tool that change that makes your development really easy, because you don't think about all details. You think about low code and about declarative way of development.
Exactly.
Basically, our tool also is targeted to be in the same area of tools. So basically, don't force me to think about all details that are involved. And believe me, all of
low code software versioning. Low code software versioning. Yeah, great, love it. Thank you very much. It was very interesting, and you convinced me. I buy it, no doubt about it. I mean, why wouldn't you, right? And I would love to pay you money for that, or my company will love to pay you money for that.
We really work hard to make it available as soon as possible.
So please shut the fuck up and take my money.
Exactly.
and use the money to make a Git version out of it.
Yeah, basically this is our let's say second step. I mean, in when we think about plan to release product to the public, because basically SVN tool, let's say, is almost finished, so and almost ready to release it to the public. Git version of the tool is currently in progress. So basically, this is something we are working really hard right now to be available as soon as it's possible. And basically, we realized also that Git is very popular versioning system.
Yeah.
So it is something that people are waiting for. So yeah, this is our next step to release.
Okay. Looking forward to it. And we are all looking forward for your first release. And whenever you want to know want to have additional opinions, here I am.
Okay, great. So you will be one of the first person I will send.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Przemek. Nice talk. Very valuable product and interesting thing for the community.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for possibility to share about knowledge.
Yeah, sure. This is the point of apex.world, sharing knowledge, right? Sharing community knowledge. Great. Bye, guy.